Good morning class. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma, in my fun and soft pajamas today, just for something different. Today's idiom is ring a bell. How can you use ring a bell, or how can you ring a bell to supersize and grow your business? This expression, of course, has been around since the early 1900s, and it's because bells remind us to do all kinds of things, right? There's the doorbell, reminds us to open the door. The telephone rings and reminds us to answer the phone and communicate with somebody. The dinner bell, we used to have a dinner bell when I was growing up. We had a dinner bell that my mom would go out and ring. It was on our back porch, or one of our the side porch, and she would go and she'd ring this dinner bell, and you could hear it all around. We lived out in the country, but you could hear it to a couple of the neighbors' houses. That's how far it went. But it reminded us, hey, it's time to come home and eat dinner and spend some time with the family. We have the school bell, which that's kind of a school bell from Charlie Brown, right? Little school bell to remind us to come to class and that class is about to start. We have bells on our toasters and bells on our washers and our dryers and our microwaves. I'm really guilty of the microwave bell. I throw in a cup of coffee to reheat it, and then I forget about it, and then half an hour later I might hear the bell ringing again and go reheat my coffee again. But bells are used to trigger or remind us of something. They're used because they have a familiar sound. They're a very effective trigger. Bells are a super effective trigger. That's why we have all the notifications on our phones, right? To remind us to do things. They stir, a vague memory of something, or the idiom also means to recall something or to call something to mind, right? To remind us of something. So when we hear a bell, we can actually use bells on ourselves, triggers on ourselves, to grow and build our business. And we can use triggers and bells and whistles to better serve our customers, right? If we can find something that they can relate to, that they're familiar with, that will trigger their memory and their attachment to us, they're more likely to remember us when they need our products or services, right? So we can set reminders for ourselves to improve our lives, to improve the lives of the people that work with us and our employees, to just remind us to do certain things on certain frequencies. It's kind of like scheduling things on your calendar and then adding a bell and a reminder to your calendar. Now we have electronic calendars we can schedule all these things to, and they'll send us emails, which are reminders, or they'll send us actual bells that ding. I do a weekly Zoom call, and every Tuesday morning, whether I'm doing that call for some reason or not, I get a reminder from Zoom to do that call. It's a ding on my phone and a ring and a bell that reminds me to get going and schedule and be available for the group of people that we do that call for. I actually set reminders on my phone on a personal level to take medications. I cheat and I set reminders on my phone, and with each reminder, this cool thing about technology is you can set a little phrase or a verbal word reminder along with the bell reminder. So every time 11:11 my bell goes off to take my medication, I also get a little positive affirmation or a reminder of one of my goals. I use reminders and bells, literally bells and reminders, to do things like audit my processes, look at on a regular frequency how I'm actually doing things, my processes and systems. You can set reminders to appreciate your customers. You can set reminders to ask people for feedback and ask them questions, or do surveys, or ask them for testimonials. There are so many ways you can use bells and reminders and positive triggers to grow and build and supersize your business. We're only really limited by our imagination and how we can think to use them to better serve people. So anything we can create that's a positive trigger for people to encourage them to do business with us is a great example of ringing a bell. Now, just like ringing a bell can be used in a positive way, it can be used in a negative way. I mean, think of when you were in high school or in school, if you ever were late for class. None of us would, of course, ever been late for class. But that bell would go off, and you immediately get that tightness in your stomach saying, oh my God, I'm late for class. So that same bell that can be a positive trigger can also be a negative trigger. So as we're planning out how we're going to interact and serve our customers better, we want to make sure that we're building in triggers that make them feel good. Now, right now, there's a lot going on in the world, and everything is kind of chaotic. So we want to be careful that we're providing solutions for people, and we're really focusing on the solutions and how we can help them to make their life right now better and easier. And those of us with businesses that do that, that make that shift to and serving them better, we will be fine. The people that, and I'm not even going to share this example, but there are businesses that are just firing people in mass, and big businesses, not businesses like mom and pop shops, that I understand that, but big businesses that have tons of resources and tons of money, and because they don't want to pay people, and this isn't even in my home state, but it's in a neighboring state, because they don't want to pay people, they're just firing them all and going to let the state take care of them. Well, the problem with this is, guess what? Unemployment and things takes weeks to kick in, right? So they're really just leaving people in a really bad place. And people are going to remember. The people that get fired from those jobs, they're going to remember. They're not going to go back to those companies. And guess what? The people that hear about it aren't going to shop at those companies, right? At least I know I'm not going to. Anyway, that's an aside. Go out, ring a bell, have an absolutely amazing day. If there's an idiom you want me to cover, hit me up in the comments below. If you've got an example or are familiar with this idiom, share that in the comments below too, so other people can really see how vastly these idioms and these sayings impact us, even if you've never used the expression, hey, that rings a bell, or I'm going to ring a bell, or whatever. Somebody around you probably has, or you've been impacted by some kind of a bell in your life. All right, have an amazing day. If I can help you anyway, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Bye.